Welcome to the bright side of aging. My name is Ike Engelbaum. I'm a pharmacist and the publisher of AmericanSeniorGazette.org. It has been wisely said, you cannot help getting older, but you can help getting old. It has also been said that age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. My purpose in doing the show is so that seniors and caregivers can share their ideas and questions on how we can age gracefully and in a vertical position for as long as our good genes will allow. And if we've inherited bad genes, how to outwit them. Our topics include senior housing, financial, legal, safety, travel, health issues, interesting senior events in the community, and most of all, tips on how to put old on hold.
If your question is, who am I going to call to bring the kind of services into my home that I need because I can't get out? House Calls on Wheels provides both medical and non-medical services in your home. They can bring in doctors, dentists, nurses, therapists, and more. And those medical services are covered by Medicare and most private insurance plans. And they have all sorts of non-medical services, whatever you need. Now, if you use 4 hours or more of non-medical services per month, you're going to get a free personal emergency button telephone that you can use for both emergencies or daily use. Call House Calls on Wheels toll-free for further information. 1-888-489-8980. That's 1-888-489-8980.
Hi, Ike Engelbaum. I am really excited about a new sponsor, and that is Memory Health. These are vitamin capsules that you take 3 a day, and it improves your memory. Memory Health has been proven to be scientifically helpful for early stages of Alzheimer's. In fact, it has been claimed that it can even forestall Alzheimer's. Dr. Joel Kahn made this statement, in my more than 30 years of practicing medicine, no other product has ever come close to truly supporting brain health like Memory Health. It's a safe, natural supplement. If you need any more information, call 888-489-8980, 888-489-8980. And welcome to a step closer to spring. Whoa! They say that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb or something to that effect. Best line I heard is that based on what's been going on in Michigan, March has come in like a lioness. We are really fortunate, and the winter we've had, and I'm assuming, even though it's Michigan, that we will not have to deal with any major sort of dumps, for lack of a better word, of snow. When you analyze it, spring is right around the corner. It's my favorite time of the year. I think someone should use that in a song. I'm glad to be with you, and hope that you can appreciate what we're trying to do. The first half hour, we do Bright Side of Aging, and we try to bring out the positive aspects of aging. And in fact, one of the wonderful things about aging is that you have that many more experiences to draw from. There's so many friends that you made along the way that actually hopefully made you a little wiser. I have a series of Ikeisms, and one I think that is appropriate is that aging is inevitable. Wisdom is optional. I'm very blessed. I've got some terrific friends, and the wonderful thing about as you age, you have an opportunity to make more friends. In fact, the first Wednesday of each month, and you're welcome to join me, I'm pleased that one of my talk about friends, one of my pharmacy friends that I've known probably for close to 70 years, at least 60 years, or a whole bunch of years, Jerry Diofix, a wonderful human being, and he and I used to play tennis years ago, and unfortunately, that's one of the downsides of aging is you have to readjust. So we used to play like 4 hours on Saturday afternoons every week. Now I joke about it when I do get on the court. It's not for 4 hours. I say, nice shot, more often than ever before. One thing for sure, I try to make you aware of what's going on around in our aging spectrum, so to speak. So from 11 a.m. to 11:30, we do Bright Side of Aging. And from 11:30 to 12 noon, we do the Entrepreneur segment. And I'm really excited today for the Bright Side of Aging, talk about wisdom. We've got one of the wisest people involved in reverse mortgages that I've come across in years. You've seen all these superstar actors get on and talk about the reverse mortgages, and the truth of it is that on the positive side, because of their reputation, they can't afford to be promoting something that's really unethical or illegal or what have you. That's on the positive side. On the negative side is that whoever they're promoting to do a reverse mortgage for you has to pay these people some serious money to be their spokesman. And you know what? Comes the paperwork where you apply for a reverse mortgage, that cost that they have spent in bringing on those superstars, they have to figure in how much you're going to pay. So in other words, you are sort of sponsoring the people that really are telling you the truth, but as the old joke goes, it's not the money, it's the amount. And when you've got major people like that and promoting it, you're going to be spending more money. Locally, I'm really pleased and proud to have a good friend, Burney Ashley. Burney Ashley is, he could be a movie star, but he ain't, and he doesn't charge anywhere near anywhere what they would. And he, because he's been in the financial world for years and years. In fact, he's a veteran with 33 years of mortgage banking and 43 years of real estate business. So today, Burney Ashley is involved with Great Lakes Mortgage. And where could you call yourself Great Lakes Mortgage more than in Michigan, right? So hello, Burney.
Hello, Ike. Thanks for having me this morning.
My pleasure, and I look forward to many more in-person visits. And I have been hearing about an acronym HECM. It sounds like a hiccup. It's HECM. So what is, to talk about HECM? What is that?
HECM is Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. It's actually the FHA version of a reverse mortgage. Not all reverse mortgages are FHA, but this one was designed and backed by the federal government with the express purpose to help seniors 62 years and older to free up some equity locked in their principal residence to use for a variety of purposes. The most unique feature for these loans is the borrower can opt in for a no mortgage payment.
So, tell me, I've heard about seniors being able to turn their equity that they have in the home into a monthly income. How's that doable?
Yeah. In fact, I'm glad you asked me. We have what they call the tenure action, and that does exactly that. If things are tight and you could use more money to live with, higher standard of living, or retire early without cashing in on the Social Security, because if you wait, you get more, you can actually have it set up so that you will get a check in the mail or in your bank account on a monthly basis.
So I've heard it expressed in shirt sleeve English, which fortunately and unfortunately is the best way for me to communicate. And when you analyze it, what you just described is that your home can actually become your bank in a way, right?
Right.
It pays
exactly.
you.
That pretty much.
Right? And what I like to stress is that, most people know what a mortgage is, and when you add the word reverse, it actually almost is self-explanatory, is that the mortgage is reversed. Instead of you're paying it all to the for the mortgage, and now that you've developed a sort of a nest egg in that mortgage, that you draw from that. Now, when you do that, obviously, I assume the interest rate is that what is the interest rate? Let's say I have an equity and I do a reverse mortgage and I draw on that equity. What's the interest?
Well, the rates on reverse mortgages act just like regular mortgages. So, depending on when and what's going on in the rate market at that particular time. So I can't give you a rate that's going to always be there. As you know, rates right now are kind of moving upwards. So the last one I quoted, you know what, I can't even get there.
No, you don't want to.
I'll get
Okay,
in trouble,
all right. Okay, you don't want to get yourself into hot water by getting at the point is that the way I understand it is that you can get a reverse mortgage on what you say your primary residence, right? And as we know, keep hearing about snowbirds, that they want to go to Florida and what have you. So if they're indeed have a reverse mortgage, they got the money from the reverse mortgage, as they can go to Florida on that money from the house in Michigan, right?
Yeah, in fact, even though they call it principal residence, people get the idea that means you always have to be there, but that's not the case. Principal residence is where you spend most of your time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you spend 6 months or better in Michigan and a few months down in Florida, you still have a principal residence as long as you claim it in Michigan as your principal residence.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is, there's a couple other situations. If you were to be hospitalized, you could actually be in the hospital for up to a year before there'd be any consequences. And so, like I say, it's not, if you want to go on a long vacation, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, most of your time has to be spent in the place that you're getting the mortgage on.
So you could have the freedom to really travel and still not have to make any mortgage payments. Is that correct?
Right.
And the big concern that I've always heard when you bring up reverse mortgages is that the bank really owns your home. Can you address that?
Yeah. In fact, that misinformation is completely false. But for some reason, it got a lot of space, and everybody has that silly idea. But this mortgage is just like any regular mortgage. Your name stays on the title. You obviously owe whatever you borrow. And if you were to sell that home, you would just simply put a sign out there. You would take the money, you would pay the mortgage company what you owed them, and the rest would be yours. The one thing that's different from this mortgage and other, if you end up with a crash like we had in 2008, and there was people they called upside down, which meant they owed the bank more than the house was worth, and that could even pile into a liability for their errors. Now this loan here has a non-disclosure option, which means you do not, non-recourse, non-recourse, if you end up owing the government more than your house is worth, they eat it.
The bank has to absorb that cost.
In fact, they have an option where your heirs can buy that property for 95% of the appraised value at the time. So you could have a $200,000 house that, say, dropped down to $150 and you owe $200. You could be $50 in the hole, but then one of your heirs could come by and buy it for 95% of the $150. Even though that hole is there, they can still recover that property if they wanted to keep it in the family. So there's no other loan that does anything close to that.
Right. So then, as far as the fear that you're going to burden your family with if you pass away, the home, you can never lose that home. Is that correct? If you pass away and they suddenly end up with that home, is there a danger that the value is not as good as it should be, and they end up having to come up with money out of their pocket in any way?
No, that's what I'm saying. With the non-recourse feature of this loan, you can never owe more than the house. If that was, say I owed $200,000, now my house, there's a crash in the market, the place is only $150, right? So technically I owe the government $50,000. But the way this one works is they're eating it because they guarantee this loan. So that becomes their problem, not yours. On the other hand, if somebody in the family wanted to purchase that home, one of those heirs says, well, I want the house. They could actually still get that property for 95% of the $150, even though there's $200 owed on it. Wow. So that's quite an option.
Wow. So then as far as the usual situation, when do you advise people to consider a reverse mortgage? What sort of a situation should they be in?
Well, maybe they can't quite make ends meet. That's one situation, not the ideal one. But there's also, you can use it for financial growth. Your equity, once it becomes a line of credit on a reverse mortgage on this HECM, it actually grows every month. So if your rate is 6%, that value of that line of credit is actually going to go up 6% a year. And when we do the disclosures, you can see it, I think it's at about 10 years, you can start actually getting to the point where you're building up enough equity that you could actually run it negative. Because you can borrow more than you were actually allotted at the beginning. So if it just sits there, so people use it for all kinds of stuff. You're making too much money. There's a good one, because everything you take out of your 401k or your IRA, the government taxes on it. Now you can leave that money sitting still, draw off your equity and pay no tax.
Mm-hmm.
That could put you in a whole different position as far as purchasing Medicare, qualifications, Obamacare, all of these things depends on your income. So if you reduce your income by using the equity instead of the drawing off your 401k, your IRAs, and assets like that where they're taxable, so it can be a tax shelter. There's just a zillion things you could do with this, and we don't have that much time right here. Right now,
well, if anyone is interested, I usually like to give out my toll-free number, 888-489-8980. That's 888-489-8980. And thanks to Ori Bakery, which is one of our sponsors, if you call Burney directly, and even though you may not take advantage of the reverse mortgage, you provide free consultation initially, and you advise people whether this is for them or is not. And in order to qualify, you have to be at least 62 years old,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
So if you're 62 years old and you want to talk to Burney direct, what phone number would you like to give out?
It'll be 586-484-5058.
Please repeat. 586.
586-484-5058.
And what's the sort of question someone calls you do they have to answer for you to proceed? As far as they call and say, Burney, I heard you talk about reverse mortgages. What information do you need from me to get rolling?
Well, to do an application, I need I need all your financials. But just to call, if you want to just ask general questions about it, I have no problem spending time with explaining how this thing works, answer your questions, give you a basic scenario. And if you want to call me, I will mail you a booklet. In fact, I just gave one to Ike this morning. It's called Reverse Mortgages Made Simple, and pretty much tells you a whole lot of information about the reverse that will really open up your eyes.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I've got the booklet in front of me right now, and like I was telling you off the air, these are dynamite type questions. It's a free little booklet, easy read, only about 18 pages or so, 20 pages, and we'll send one out free for you. They've got 20 key items that you should know, and it's really describes the various government agencies that are involved. I hate to refer to it, but this is like a booklet. They had that series, I think that book is still about for dummies. This reverse mortgage for dummies. But it's more professionally titled Reverse Mortgages Made Simple. If you'd like a free copy, call Burney at 586-484-5058, or you're always welcome to call our toll-free number, 888-489-8980. And whether you take advantage of the reverse mortgage, and as long as you or someone you know is 62 years old, we'll be glad to send you a free gift card that you can redeem at Ori Bakery. And for those of you who've been around for a while, you remember Bill Knapp's? Ori Bakery has still got their stuff. They're right on Farmington Road, and we can send you a free gift certificate for $10, so we can sweeten up your day and your life, and possibly also your financial situation. As far as people that are 62 years and older, currently with the financial situation as it is today, is this still a good time for people to consider a reverse mortgage?
Absolutely. The truth is, sometimes people just wait too long. And so then they end up in a situation where they don't even qualify for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
If you get this mortgage, you have a line of credit. It's there for your life.
Mm.
So 10 years later, maybe you don't need it today, but 10 years later you need the money. And what I used to always tell my customers was, if you need a loan, don't go to the bank. Right? Because in order to get a loan from you, got to prove you don't need it. Well, the nice thing about this is once you locked in, you own that for a lifetime.
Mm.
And it's just a matter of writing a check
Mm-hmm.
when you need the money. You're already approved. You're done.
Mm.
So don't wait till all hell is breaking loose, to
Right.
come and see me. So.
Right. So then, in your initial call, if they call you at 586-484-5058, have you turned down people that say this? That you're 62, but this is not for you.
Yeah, we've had situations where it's not a good fit. I mean, it's not a good fit for everybody that's a senior. That doesn't mean because you're 62 you really need the loan. It just depends on your circumstances. Some people need it a lot. Some people not so much. It's it depends on your situation. But everybody's different. I can't just give a blanket answer. It's an individual basis. And I got the time to spend with you. I promise I won't twist your arm, try to sell you anything. Give me a call.
Well, if nothing better, to get them some peace of mind, if they'll call you and for a free booklet, all you have to do is call our toll-free number, 888-489-8980, and then as an added enticement, so to speak, we'll send you a gift card to R.A. Bakery for $10, and it's very easy to get to, right on Farmington, just north of the 696 freeway in Livonia, and you could really not only have a sweet life, but a financially sweet life. In terms of the biggest concern people as they age, I don't have to tell you, is are they going to outlive their money? Here, you're living literally in your own little bank, and that home will never be taken away from you, and you have the peace of mind of knowing that you've got a line of credit depending on your situation. And I've heard it where people, if unfortunately one spouse becomes really ill and needs to go into a retirement home, that the reverse mortgage could be used as a way to cover the costs of the retirement home as long as the other spouse stays in the existing home. Is that correct?
Yeah, the main borrower must remain in the principal residence.
Mm-hmm.
So
right. So there's
like I say, you can go out for a year. So if I need to be in a home for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, at that point, even the borrower himself, the main borrower in that home, can be out. They don't, on the short. But if you're talking permanent, that ain't going to work, because then basically the retirement home becomes your principal residence if you're there all the time.
Right,
so.
Right. But unfortunately, I know quite a few people where it's just one spouse that really needs more care than the other spouse can handle, and they want to get the pressure off of themselves, plus the mental satisfaction of their spouse that wants to live life in an enjoyable way. So the reverse mortgage can really make a positive difference in your life if you're 62 or older. I I really enjoy our conversation and look forward to many more conversations. But right now I got to wrap up this segment with my favorite parting thought, which yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. And that's why we call it the present. Please enjoy your present by living with the right side of aging. Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network radio show. Our mission is to interview successful entrepreneurs who are willing to share with us their ideas and experiences, both the successes and the failures. Because as it has been jokingly said, you should learn from the mistakes of others because you'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. My name is Ike Engelbaum, and I'm the founder of the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan, which is a group of motivated people that are all interested in helping each other and achieving our personal and professional goals. Please check out our website, EntrepreneursNetworkofMichigan.com, for meeting schedule as well as self-improvement material. Our philosophy is that if it's to be, it's up to me. Family run for over 88 years, Frentz Hardware has remained family owned and operated. Frentz Hardware is one of a kind. You'll find the newest products offered on TV at very competitive prices. You'll also find safety products, grab bars for bathrooms, battery-operated light switches, remote control devices that you can turn your lamps on or any electrical device. You don't have to run out there anymore. Just press the button. Better yet, just visit Frentz Hardware, located on Main Street and 11.5 Mile Road. They're open every day. If you wish to call, it's 248-544-8111. That's 248-544-8111. Better yet, just visit 11.5 Mile Road and Main Street, Frentz Hardware. Hi, Ike Engelbaum. One of my sponsors is Cofix Nasal Spray. You can spray the inside of your nose and almost have the same benefits as a mask. In fact, it's been so well proven that it's now on the market in drugstores. Cofix RX. Spray it in the nose. 45 seconds later, you have up to 8 hours like a shield inside your nose. It's been scientifically proven. I'm really excited about it. I use it anytime I go out in a huge crowd. If you need any more information, call 888-489-8980, 888-489-8980. And welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network segment. And I do not have to tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, the way you can be successful is to network, and that's why we call it the Entrepreneurs Network. We are now 20,000 strong throughout the whole world. Although we are not meeting in person as frequently as we used to, we're still having some in-person meetings. Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan.com has got a website that's being constructed as we speak. But if you want to call me at any time, our toll-free number is 888-489-8980, and I can post our meetings with you or discuss them. And one of the wonderful things that I have had because of the organization is that I've met some very dynamic, talented people. No matter what area of life you're in, there's a magic word called sales. Sales are vital. It's the blood that makes the whole money flow, so to speak. And unless you come to the realization that just like in other forms of life, you should constantly stay updated and motivated. And one of the most dynamic sales trainers, and he's also a phenomenal speaker. And rather than giving you textbook type tips, Don Zavis has been in business himself, so he knows the inside of what it takes to get you successful. And Don Zavis now is actually a sought-after speaker all over the world. He's been a keynote speaker at many major organizations because he's got what I'd like to call Zizzling Zavis sales strategy. How's that for a title, Mr. Don Zavis?
You never cease to entertain me with your very, very kind introductions. No, and thank you so much for the kind words. But you're absolutely correct. Nothing happens until somebody sells something. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. And when prior to coming on the air, you and I had a discussion a day or two ago. And, as we were talking about what to talk about, one of the things I'm telling my clients to focus on is, today, 1/4 of the entire year is gone. I know it seems like, Christmas was just yesterday and New Year's and it was right around the corner, but the reality is 1/4 of the entire year is already gone. We're now in that second quarter. And depending on where you are in your sales, without some kind of a adjustment or some way you're going to affect your sales, if they're going up, good. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep doing it. But what I hear from the marketplace is that's not the case, and that the selling is extremely challenging. Money is very tight. Customers justifiably are always looking for the best deal, and there's a lot of pressure that's on the sales world right now. So, that's something that we take very seriously in terms of the skills and the tools and the relationships that we have with our clients. So, 25% is in the bag already, and if you're not where you want to be, what are you going to do about it?
Right. Well, I never thought of it in terms of actually that tight time schedule, but you're right. You're just like in business, you want to gauge how much profit you're trying to make. You should really have a target of what should I do to get to a certain target point in sales. And I know you have a gift of not only communicating, but also in using strategy in sales. What do you suggest for salespeople out there that want to make their sales calls more profitable? Do you have any strategies you suggest?
Well, absolutely. And I'll give you one. And since it's likely that potentially some of your listeners might be taking notes, I would love for them to write this down. And the idea is that networking starts where all other forms of prospecting hope to end up, which is face-to-face. So if you're writing that down, right, networking starts where all other forms of prospecting hope to end up, which is ultimately face-to-face. So even if you put an ad in the newspaper and somebody calls you, ultimately the idea is, okay, let's connect face-to-face, right? We'll set up an appointment. You put something online, same thing. You have a newspaper, magazine, something like that. Ultimately, the idea is that if you have a successful initial relationship, you ultimately want to move it to a face-to-face. And the nice thing about it is, and that's why I love our conversations, Ike, because you've been, literally the most consummate networker I think I've probably ever met in my life. You absolutely understand the value of that face-to-face connection, that, you're not just a random person on the streets. And that's why if I had to say one thing, networking, face-to-face connections. And that doesn't mean that online social media posts are bad. It doesn't mean that newspapers are bad or, magazines are bad or, television, radio is bad. No, none of those things. But they're absolutely no substitute for connecting with somebody face to face. And given the choice of going to a networking group or a function, or really anything, that networking, that face to face connection is absolutely, completely irreplaceable.
Well, I have a series of Ikeisms, as I like to call them, and many times I don't want to make it too serious, but people that have friends or relatives that are sick and not doing so well, they're always trying to come up with some clever gift to send to them, a book or what have you. And the truth of it is, I've heard this from some very knowledgeable psychologists and what have you. The best thing you can do for people that are close in your life, the best present is your presence, okay?
Absolutely.
You're being there. And the other acronym that's always checked around in the sales world is KLT, which stands for people have to know, like, and trust you. Well, they ain't gonna know you if all you're doing is using the latest internet tactic of Facebook or what have you. It may give you a thrill to know, hey, I've reached 1 million people, but they don't really know you. You're an email.
Well, you're absolutely true, and I tell people all the time, look at Facebook, and again, I'm not saying anything disparaging about Facebook or LinkedIn. I think they're critical for your success.
Right.
But you have 10,000 Facebook, and I'm making air quotes with my fingers, friends. And in reality, 4 people are going to come to your funeral.
Right.
So you've got lots of, again, friends, but the reality is you really don't. These people are really not going to hunt for you. I guess if somebody falls, in front of them and says, "Oh my God," do you know an amazing sales trainer?
Right.
Well, of course, I hope my name comes to their lips, but they're not going to really go out and hunt for me. They're really not going to go out and work dutifully and diligent for me. So there is a distinction between what we identify as, friends, and that's why, again, I go back. I mean, that time making social media post, again, that's something you can do after hours.
Right.
But it's clearly no substitute for actually going to an event or a lunch or something where there's going to be somebody at that you would have an opportunity to introduce yourself to.
Right.
And again, that's why I always say that if you think of it, networking starts where every other form of prospecting, again, hopes to end up. No matter what it is, who it is, what the circumstances are, at the end point is meeting face to face. But with networking, you start there. In terms of efficiency of time, you're literally starting where everyone else wants to end up. And there is really no more efficient tool that I share with my clients than, being out there. There's so many wonderful groups, wonderful people like yourself, like, chambers of commerce, Elks Club, Rotary Clubs, Kiwanis, BNI, LBN. I mean, there's just an endless amount of them.
Right. Well, if anyone is interested, I always like to give out my toll-free number, 888-489-8980. And you actually have a weekly session discussing sales strategies. Is that still going on, Dan?
It is, actually, and it's been expanded. Originally, we were just doing it on Fridays. But because the demand has continued to be strong, we're actually increasing it to various days through the course of the month. So there's a couple things that can be done. I would absolutely love to invite any and all of your listeners to join us. Now, I should say that there's no cost, there's no obligation, there's nothing to buy. There's no other shoe to fall, anything like that. They can reach out to me. My telephone number is area code 248-497-5792. 5869. And once again, that's Don Zavis, area code 248-497-5869. Or if you are more of the email type of person, I can be reached at Don Zavis, all one word, DonZavis at Comcast.net. And I'd be happy to give you the credentials to join us online, give you access to all of our online sessions and podcasts and conference calls and videos. Go to YouTube. We probably have, 200 little 5-minute sniglets under Don Zavis as well. And if you want, I'd be happy to invest a couple of minutes of my time. If you've got a sales issue, share it with me. I'll be happy to see if there might be some tools that I can give you just, in a relatively quick conversation.
Wow. What a deal. And if you do call, as I mentioned before, I have still some gift certificates of $10 to Ori Bakery. If you make the call, and even though you don't take advantage of all of the other things that Don Zavis has, you'll still get a gift certificate. So call us, call us at 888-489-8980. Have a great sales and fun day, Mr. Don Zavis. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Right now, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be right back with the dynamite digital expert, super expert, I might add, Rosh Sillars. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If your question is, who am I going to call to bring the kind of services into my home that I need because I can't get out? House Calls on Wheels provides both medical and non-medical services in your home. They can bring in doctors, dentists, nurses, therapists, and more. And those medical services are covered by Medicare and most private insurance plans. And they have all sorts of non-medical services, whatever you need. Now, if you use 4 hours or more of non-medical services per month, you're going to get a free personal emergency button telephone that you can use for both emergencies or daily use. Call House Calls on Wheels toll-free for further information. 1-888-489-8980. That's 1-888-489-8980.
And if you call, as I mentioned, while we have a supply left, I will send you a $10 gift certificate that you can use at Ori Bakery. And they've got all kinds of sweet stuff, classic things. They're located right on Farmington Road and just north of the 696 freeway. And as far as sweetness and also sizzling, we have Rosh Sillars on the line. He can be referred to as a digital whiz. Rosh is one of these talented people that has got a gift to really take advantage of the world that we're in now, of the internet and being in touch literally with the whole world. And Rosh Sillars is, as they say, at the cutting edge of the technology spectrum. And I'm so glad that he's able to call in today. Are you there, Mr. Rosh Sillars?
I am, Ike. Good to be here.
Great. And we were talking about the different things that people are dealing with in their lives now, and who would have thunk that we would be talking about artificial intelligence?
Yes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So what is this all about? Why are people talking about artificial?
Yeah, so AI, artificial intelligence, we've used it for years as part of our business. However, the big thing that has changed is it's been made accessible to the average person. And a company by the name of OpenAI, which is a company we've used for quite a while, created a chat with their AI, which anybody can access. And it was at the end of November of last year, and honestly, we're really at the point right now, Ike, where AI is going to go full steam ahead, and it's going to be everywhere. You'll hear more and more about it if you haven't already. This is the time when you first heard of the internet, when you first heard of Facebook, when you first heard of social media in general, or whatever. When those technologies that changed our world, those first moments you heard about them, this is it.
And with all of the various forms of communicating, what do you find is the most interesting thing about the chat and AI?
Yeah, the chat GDP is, there are actually a number of them out there. But again, as I said, this one's accessible where you can just go and it can do things for you as well as answer your questions. So rather than going to Google, you can just get a list of websites which you have to sift through. It'll just give you the answer. Now, I would always say if you're kind of questioning the answer, double check or ask again. You can even say, hey, I don't think that's true, and then it may show you some reasons why it is or it isn't true, or even stand corrected. You can say, hey, write a poem for me, or write a book or a program. For example, I ran into a problem the other day where I needed a plugin for WordPress, and actually a form. It was the day before that. It was a form that I needed. And the plugin is the future idea. I just had the AI write the form for me, and then I put that into WordPress, and it worked great.
Wow!
And so not only can it answer your questions, but it can also create for you and help you with your job.
Huh. Well, it remind me the classic descriptions. Some people, when you ask them the time of the day, they start telling you how the watch is being put together. all I want to know, what time is it?
Yes, exactly.
So, in my limited scope of technology, what you're describing is that this is actually, unlike our politicians, when you ask them a question, this answers the question, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like thinking about, say, you just went to Google, which will be happening soon. Just go to Google, and then it answers your question rather than giving you a list of websites, or give it a task. Or look, for many entrepreneurs, you're just thinking of ideas. What are 10 ideas that would help me sell my product? And you can be very specific. And actually, the more specific you are, the better the answers will be. Remember the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So it's actually helping if you want to write blog posts or headlines, or you can ask it to write out these ideas for you and then even expand on those ideas.
Now, if anyone wants to speak to you directly, because I've had the joy of having you speak to our Rotary Club and the Optimist Club, and both organizations, by the way, have pressed me as to when I can get you back again. So that's a pretty good sign that you know what you're talking about, and you have that gift to communicate. How do they get a hold of you? What do you? You can just go to rosh.media. That's the website. There's multiple ways to connect with me there, and I'm happy to answer questions. Rosh is spelled R-O-S-H, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So it's Rosh at rosh.media, M-E-D-I-A.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a little trivia fact that you can appreciate. As you know, I'm Jewish, and our New Year is called Rosh Hashanah. And the significance of that is the Hebrew interpretation is the head of the new year. So you're the head of digital type marketing. And if anyone wants to work with you, you actually can work out an arrangement whereby they can use you and all their marketing efforts, and you can give them guidance and actually pick up in their activities and point out, hey, this is something that could really benefit you. Do you mind sharing what are some of the challenges involved with AI?
Well, the challenge is there's going to be there's a new word or a phrase that you may hear coming more and more called prompt engineering. And basically that what means is how are you asking the questions of AI? Because the AIs are pulling from a vast amount of data, but it can also become biased over time after enough questions have been asked of it. And so that's why Google's delaying and others have been delaying because of these biases or saying the wrong thing, because the AIs are very capable of being wrong. Although they may be right much of the time, in very serious situations, it could be wrong. So you have to be careful with AI, just like talking to a friend, verify the information and double check, especially if it's something that could be health related. But again, it knows really in-depth knowledge, and it is amazing what they can produce. Just be careful.
Right. Well, and then as far as customer service, have you found that AI can assist you in that arena as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're at the point now that I can set up a custom AI website. I have a number of them. For example, if somebody wants to take a look, handymanai.com. That's just a website I put up, and it's geared with a specific personality. I also have lifecoachai.com, which has multiple life coaches. One only speaks Spanish. But I can create personalities, but you can also train them to learn about your business and to answer questions that are very specific to your business. And so you'll probably see more and more websites that have an AI that can answer your questions intelligently and give you the information that you're looking for without it seeming so robotic.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things in defense of Google that I found really valuable to me is that I've tried to structure the question as clearly as possible to get the answer I'm looking for. They will list what other questions people have asked, and many times in the way the other person expressed the question gives you a clear understanding of what you're really looking for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very valuable.
The more I hear you talk, I am so incredibly actually impressed with what technology can do if they got the right people behind them. One of the classic anecdotes that I've used over the years is Einstein's wife was once asked if she understood all of her husband's theories, and she said, well, let me put it this way. I could understand the words, but I could never understand the sentences. This gives you the sentence. God bless you, Mr. Rosh Sillars. We'll talk again soon.
Very good. Thank you, Ike.
Unfortunately, we run out of time for this segment, and I never want to leave this segment without my favorite thought, which is, if you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And there is no excuse for not achieving your dreams and goals in America, because it is the greatest country in the whole world. Remember, a goal is just a dream with a deadline.
WNZK has available a few good hours of airtime for a few good programs to serve their communities. Radio is better than ever in targeting an audience that listens to what you say. Learn more about this exciting radio broadcasting opportunity by calling WNZK